Bianca felt the blood drain from her face as Victor Klein's words hung in the air like a death sentence. "I'm sorry, but we can't proceed with the partnership if it means aligning our family brand with this kind of relationship," the CEO of Heritage Retail said, his eyes flicking uncomfortably between her and Ramona. The conference room in their New York office building, once buzzing with excitement over the multimillion-dollar deal for Lumina Thread's sustainable fashion line, now felt suffocating under the weight of unspoken judgment. Ramona's fingers interlaced with hers beneath the table, a silent anchor in the storm, but Bianca's mind raced with the devastating realization that their marriage, the one they had fought so hard to build despite everything, was the very reason their dream was slipping away. She had always known the business world could be ruthless, but this was personal, slicing straight through the heart of who they were as a couple and as co-founders. The other executives shifted in their seats, avoiding eye contact, the air thick with the kind of prejudice no amount of innovative AI-driven designs or glowing market projections could overcome. Bianca's heart pounded, a toxic mix of rage and fear rising as she struggled to keep her voice steady. How could one revelation about their private life erase months of late nights, investor pitches, and flawless presentations? Ramona squeezed her hand harder, her jaw locked in that familiar line of defiance Bianca had fallen in love with back at NYU. Yet Bianca caught the flicker of raw hurt in her wife's green eyes, the same doubt that had shadowed them since they decided to stop hiding 3 years ago. The meeting limped forward in painful silence after Victor's announcement, the untouched contract papers on the polished table mocking everything they had sacrificed. Bianca's thoughts spun to their cozy Brooklyn apartment, the endless evenings they had spent turning Lumina threads from a sketch on a napkin into a brand celebrated for blending cutting-edge tech with eco-friendly fabrics that customers actually loved. They had poured their savings, their youth, and their love into this company. And now, because they were wives, not just business partners, it was all hanging by a thread. "We need time to process this," Bianca finally said, her tone sharper than she intended, but Victor was already rising, buttoning his suit jacket with finality. "There's nothing left to discuss. Our board has spoken. Traditional values are non-negotiable for Heritage." As the men filed out, the heavy door clicking shut behind them, Ramona turned to her, eyes blazing. "This is discrimination, plain and simple. We can't let them walk away like that." Her voice cracked just enough for Bianca to hear the fear underneath the fire. Bianca nodded, but inside her chest a different storm brewed. She could already picture the call from her parents in Texas, their voices laced with that familiar disappointment. "We told you appearing normal would open doors, sweetheart. Why risk everything for this?" The words they never quite said out loud but always implied. Ramona stood, pulling Bianca into a quick, fierce embrace right there in the empty room, the scent of her vanilla perfume grounding her for a moment. "We fight this together," Ramona whispered. But as they gathered their laptops and stepped into the elevator, Bianca wondered how much longer together could survive the price tag attached to their love. Outside on the bustling Manhattan sidewalk, the late afternoon sun felt too bright, too normal for the earthquake that had just hit their lives. Ramona hailed a cab while Bianca checked her phone. Already 3 missed calls from their mentor, Elena, who had helped broker the Heritage deal. "Maybe she can fix this," Bianca muttered, but Ramona shook her head. "Or maybe she knew and didn't warn us." The cab ride home was silent except for the honking traffic, each woman lost in her own spiral of what-ifs. By the time they reached their brownstone, Bianca's stomach was in knots. She poured 2 glasses of wine while Ramona paced the living room, replaying the meeting out loud. "He looked at us like we were contagious. Like our marriage makes Lumina threads dirty." Bianca set the glasses down and pulled her wife onto the couch, holding her close. "We built this company on honesty. We can't start lying now." Yet even as she said it, the weight of their mortgage, their 10 employees' salaries, and the upcoming Fashion Week orders pressed down like a vice. One phone call from Victor had turned their success story into a cautionary tale, and Bianca wasn't sure she had the strength to rewrite the ending. That night, sleep refused to come. Bianca lay awake staring at the ceiling while Ramona's breathing finally evened out beside her. The rejection wasn't just business. It was a mirror forcing her to see every compromise she had ever made to protect their relationship. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, media leaks, maybe even a public statement. But tonight, all she could feel was the terrifying possibility that love might cost them everything they had fought to build. And worse, that a part of her was already wondering if the price was too high. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving over Brooklyn. Bianca woke to the buzz of her phone, her mother's name flashing on the screen. She slipped out of bed before Ramona stirred, stepping onto the tiny balcony with a cup of coffee that tasted like ash. "Sweetheart, we saw the email from Elena," her mother said without preamble, her Texas drawl tight with concern. "Is it true? They pulled the deal because of you and Ramona." Bianca gripped the railing, the cold metal biting into her palm. "Yes, Mom. Because we're married." The silence on the other end stretched until it hurt. "Honey, I love you, but business is business. Maybe if you two kept things quieter, presented as partners instead of wives. Your father says." "Stop," Bianca cut in, voice shaking. "This isn't about presentation. It's prejudice." Her mother sighed the way she always did when Bianca refused to bend. "We just don't want to see you lose everything you worked for. Think of your employees. Think of Ramona. She's strong. But is she strong enough to watch your dream die?" The call ended with a promise to pray on it, but the damage was done. Bianca slid down the balcony wall, tears she hadn't allowed in the conference room finally falling. Ramona found her there, wrapped her in a blanket, and listened without interrupting as Bianca repeated every word. "Your parents have never accepted us," Ramona said quietly, but there was no anger, only exhaustion. "And now the business world is proving them right." They spent the morning drafting a statement with their lawyer, refusing to hide. By noon, Elena arrived unannounced, her designer coat dripping rain. "I just heard. Victor called me last night, said the board freaked when they learned you two are actually married, not just dating." I tried to smooth it over, but her hesitation lingered a second too long. Bianca felt the first crack of suspicion. "Did you know they'd react like this?" Elena's eyes darted away. "I suspected. Heritage is old school. But I believed in you two enough to push the deal anyway." The words sounded supportive, yet something felt off, like a puzzle piece forced into the wrong spot. Afternoon brought more blows. 3 smaller retailers who had been close to signing emailed cancellations, citing brand alignment concerns, after word leaked somehow. Ramona threw her phone across the room. Someone talked. This wasn't supposed to go public yet. They spent hours on damage control, emails, calls, promises of future collections, while Bianca's mind kept circling back to her mother's voice. Was she being selfish? Was loving Ramona openly destroying the life they had built for their team? That evening they cooked dinner together in tense silence, until Ramona finally set the knife down. "I see it in your eyes, Bianca. You're wondering if we should have stayed quiet." Bianca didn't deny it. The argument that followed was the first real fight they had had in years. Voices raised, tears spilled, accusations of weakness and stubbornness flying like shrapnel. Ramona stormed to the guest room. Bianca stayed on the couch, staring at the contract they would never sign. By midnight Ramona returned, curling beside her with a whispered apology. "We fight dirty or we lose everything. But I won't lose you." Bianca held her tight, but the seed of doubt had been planted, watered by family pressure, and the very real fear that their love might bankrupt the company they had bled for. Day 2 brought the betrayal into full light. Bianca was reviewing sales reports when Elena texted a link to a gossip blog. Exclusive. Lesbian CEOs of Lumina Threads booted from Heritage deal. Is their marriage killing the brand? The article quoted an anonymous source describing the conference room scene in humiliating detail. Ramona read over her shoulder, face draining of color. "Elena," she whispered. She was the only other person in the loop. They confronted her via video call that afternoon. Elena's face filled the screen, perfectly composed. "I did it for you," she claimed. "Public pressure will force Victor to reconsider. You needed leverage." Ramona's laugh was bitter. "You sold us out. Our private life is trending on Twitter now, complete with memes about woke fashion flops." Bianca couldn't speak. The woman who had mentored them through their first runway show had just lit the match under their entire world. Media calls flooded in. Conservative outlets painted them as activists destroying traditional retail. Progressive ones hailed them as martyrs. Investors pulled funding commitments. Their head designer quit, citing unwanted spotlight. That night, Ramona's phone rang. Her sister from California, supportive but worried about the family business ramifications. Bianca's parents called again, this time with her father on the line. Come home for a weekend. We can talk strategy. Maybe separate the personal from the professional on paper, just for optics. The suggestion landed like a slap. Bianca hung up and turned to Ramona, voice breaking. They want me to choose between you and the company. Ramona pulled her close, but the embrace felt fragile. Then we choose each other and let the company adapt. Yet as they lay in bed, Bianca's mind replayed every mortgage payment, every employee's face at the last company picnic. The betrayal by Elena had stripped away their safety net. Now every decision carried the weight of potential ruin. The following morning brought more fallout. A major fabric supplier cited reputational risk and paused shipments. Ramona spent hours on the phone begging for extensions while Bianca drafted a lawsuit against Heritage for discrimination. The legal fees alone could sink them. During a brief lunch break, they sat on the fire escape sharing a sandwich, the city noise a distant roar. I keep thinking about the day we got married in that little courthouse, Ramona said softly. We promised no matter what. Bianca nodded, but the words stuck in her throat. The price of that promise was climbing higher every hour, and part of her wondered if love could truly survive when the world kept demanding payment in full. 40 hours after the rejection, the cracks in their partnership had widened into chasms. Bianca woke to Ramona already at the kitchen table surrounded by financial spreadsheets, eyes red from lack of sleep. We have 3 weeks of runway left before payroll fails, Ramona said without looking up. The numbers were brutal. Bianca sat across from her, the coffee bitter on her tongue. We could downsize. Let 2 people go. The words tasted like failure. Ramona finally met her gaze. Or we could go public with the discrimination suit and hope the backlash brings sympathy sales. They argued again, voices low but sharp, each clinging to a different vision of survival. Bianca wanted quiet negotiation. Ramona demanded loud justice. In the end they compromised on drafting a press release, but the tension lingered like smoke. That afternoon their lawyer called with bad news. The lawsuit would take months, and Heritage's lawyers were already stonewalling. Bianca stepped outside for air, the autumn wind whipping through her hair. Her phone buzzed. Another missed call from her mother. She answered this time. We're worried sick, honey. Your father found a consultant who specializes in image rehab. He says if you two keep a low profile for a year, maybe rebrand as best friends and business partners, the market will forgive. Bianca's laugh was hollow. Forgive what, Mom? Existing. The call ended in tears on both sides, leaving Bianca feeling smaller than she had since college. When she returned inside, Ramona was on a video call with their remaining team, reassuring them the company would survive. Watching her wife's calm strength, Bianca felt a surge of love mixed with guilt. How many more sacrifices would Ramona have to make? Because Bianca couldn't silence her family's voices. As evening fell, the 48-hour mark approached. Ramona cooked pasta while Bianca stared at her laptop, refreshing news alerts. Suddenly Ramona's phone lit up with a New York number. She answered on speaker. Victor Klein's voice filled the kitchen, no longer cold but edged with desperation. Ladies, I need to speak with you immediately. The launch event for our new sustainable line collapsed without your designs. Suppliers backed out. Influencers pulled endorsements. We're hemorrhaging money. I was wrong to let the board dictate terms. Can we meet tomorrow? Ramona's eyes met Bianca's across the table, wide with shock. The man who had rejected them now needed them. Bianca felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The next 24 hours would decide everything. Not just their company, but whether their marriage could survive the choices still to come. They met Victor at a neutral cafe near Union Square the next morning. The 48-hour mark long passed. He looked smaller without his boardroom armor, dark circles under his eyes. The entire campaign tanked, he admitted, stirring his untouched coffee. Your AI customization tech was the hook our customers wanted. Without Lumina threads, we lost 3 major retail partners overnight. I'm here to beg, name your terms. Ramona leaned forward, voice steady. Anti-discrimination clauses in the contract. Public apology. And equity for our team. Victor nodded too quickly. Done. We'll even double the original offer. Bianca sat silent, her mind a whirlwind. This was the victory they had prayed for. Yet accepting it felt like swallowing poison. Her parents' words echoed. Take the money, protect the business. Ramona's hand found hers under the table, a silent reminder of every late-night promise they had made. Back home they dissected the offer for hours. Ramona wanted to sign immediately. This is justice wrapped in profit. Bianca hesitated. If we go back in, we're partnering with the same people who tried to erase us. What message does that send to our employees? To every queer kid dreaming of building something? The argument escalated until Ramona slammed the contract draft on the table. And what message do we send if we let pride bankrupt us? Our team has families too. Bianca retreated to the balcony, the city lights blurring through tears. She thought of Elena's betrayal, her mother's calls, the sleepless nights. Was survival worth compromising the very authenticity that made Lumina Threads special? Ramona joined her eventually, wrapping arms around her waist. Whatever we choose together. But I won't watch you drown in guilt either way. That night they lay awake side by side, the unsigned contract on the nightstand like a loaded gun. Every possible path carried a price: money, dignity, peace of mind. Bianca realized the real test wasn't the deal. It was whether their love could withstand the weight of the decision still ahead. Dawn broke over the city as Bianca and Ramona sat at their kitchen table, the revised contract glowing on the laptop screen. Victor had sweetened the deal further. Full creative control, diversity training for Heritage's entire executive team, and a public statement acknowledging past bias. Ramona's finger hovered over the sign button. This changes everything for us and for every queer entrepreneur who comes after. Bianca stared at the document, seeing not dollar signs but her parents' disappointed faces, the leaked blog post, the fear in their employees' eyes during the crisis. She placed her hand over Ramona's. We walk away. The words surprised even her. Ramona searched her face, then slowly closed the laptop. You're sure? Bianca nodded, tears falling freely now. We built Lumina Threads on truth. Compromising now would make every collection a lie. We'll find other partners, maybe smaller, maybe slower, but on our terms. They spent the rest of the day calling their team, explaining the choice. Some cried, others cheered. Elena was let go with severance and a warning. Bianca's parents called one final time, pleading, but Bianca held firm. I love you, but I love Ramona and our life more. The call ended in heavy silence, yet Bianca felt lighter than she had in days. Ramona pulled her into a long, quiet embrace on the couch, the kind that reminded her why they had fought so hard. We might lose the company, Ramona whispered, but we won't lose each other. In the weeks that followed, orders trickled in from indie boutiques touched by their story. It wasn't the empire they had dreamed of, but it was theirs, honest, resilient, built on love that refused to hide. Bianca and Ramona stood on their balcony months later, watching the sun rise over the skyline that had once witnessed their lowest moment. The company had survived, smaller but stronger, and their marriage felt forged in fire. Yet as they held hands in the morning light, one question lingered between them, heavy with the weight of every sacrifice and every hard-won truth. Was it right to walk away from millions to protect their integrity? Or did true success demand learning to live with compromise in a world that still isn't ready for two women who refuse to choose between love and ambition?